Ananyanye, she's not a guy.
Ananyanye, she's not a guy.
Right.
Ananyanye, she's not a guy.
Women rule.
Ananyanye, she's not a guy. Women are the property of men.
Right.
Ananyanye, she's not a guy.
Hi guys, it's Ananyanye, and today we are going to be talking about women during the 1840s. Women during the time period struggled socially, economically, and politically.
I've been longing for a higher education, but we were confined to the household, never really knowing why. I wish I could go to a college, but I have no other options, no matter how hard I try. Oh, Berlin and Antioch opened up some hope for us women who wanted more than rooms, to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be. Give us time, let us learn, make us free. There were two parties, one against me. Conservatives wanted me to be property of homebody, but liberals wanted me to go to university.
So conservatives during the time period thought that a higher education would prevent women from being good homemakers, wives, and mothers. However, liberals thought that a higher education would help women become better homemakers, wives, and mothers. Unfortunately, the general consensus at the time was that women had no other role in society other than being a good homemaker, wife, and mother. Generally, women didn't go to college until the emergence of co-ed schools. Oberlin and Antioch were the first co-ed schools to admit both men and women. Oberlin College in Ohio was the first to admit men and women of all races. However, classrooms were still made up of predominantly white men. And extracurricular activities were segregated, and women and men didn't have equal opportunities.
Let's get down to business. We need rights for all. Blinded by a gold ring, I was stuck for good. It was known as the civil death. I was subordinate to men. Husband I won property rights too. In 1839, the Marriage Property Act was passed. It guaranteed married women a right to receive income. This was a step for a lot of us. We were saved from being screwed. Now you can control me, do.
So in 1843, the first Married Women's Property Rights Act was passed, and it basically guaranteed women the right to receive commission from their land and also protected her land from being seized. Previously, if a woman inherited any land from her father, it was given to her husband after she got married, and then the husband was free to do pretty much whatever he wanted with it. During the time period, if a man went into debt, he could sell off his wife's land and she had no say in it whatsoever. Women also had no power to devise wills, make contracts, take part in any legal transactions, or control any wages that she might earn. However, a law passed in 1843 gave women the right to devise wills. And the first state constitution in California, written in 1849, gave women the power to own property. So now we have a short segment with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, where she goes into her mornings as a woman during the 1840s.
Guys, it's Elizabeth Stanton here, aka the co-founder of the Seneca Falls Convention. And I know a lot of you have been wanting to see what my mornings in New York are like, so without any further ado, here's my spring 1843 morning routine.
So the first thing I do is I wake up in the morning and I dab my face with a cloth to get rid of the sweat and moisture to make sure that my skin glows. Then I run downstairs in a panic because otherwise my husband will beat me if I don't have breakfast ready by the time he's downstairs. I know, he's a little bit dramatic. Next, I get my children ready for school, which is a long procedure since I have to do it all by myself without any help. And also my children are kind of stupid. Finally, I can have some me time. So I'm gonna do my makeup. The first thing I do is I pour on some all organic face powder to make myself look as young and fair as possible. And don't be afraid to really cake it on there. Next, to make my cheeks look rosy, I use some soft plush rose petals and rub them on my cheeks. And voila! After, I go downstairs and I cook and clean in the kitchen as we all know women should, right? You know, I'm so sick and tired of how women are being treated these days. We do so much for our country, and what do we get? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And this is what motivated me to hold the Seneca Falls Convention.
Side note! So, in 1849, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, along with Lucretia Mott, held the Seneca Falls Convention. And here, they drafted the Declaration of Sentiments. It was based on the Declaration of Independence and demanded equality with men before the law. They protested for equal rights in education and employment. It was also the first pronouncement that demanded women be given the right to vote. Susan B. Anthony was also a friend of Elizabeth Cady Stanton's, and together they went around the country and gave speeches on women's rights. This was one of the main ways that women's rights activists got their point across, just by talking, because apparently that works. So, as I forgot to mention, women during the time period didn't have a large impact because slavery and the Civil War were a larger issue during the time period. However, they did have a profound effect on society today, such as things like the creation of the 19th Amendment and the closing of the wage gap.
Anyways, next
Elizabeth, I'm home. Where's my lunch?
Coming! I swear, this man can't do anything by himself. I have to do everything for him. Here you go. How's work?
It was pretty good. By the way, I sold your property to pay off my debt. Hope you're fine with it.
What? Why on earth would you think I would be fine with you selling my property?
Quit being so salty.
I'll show you salty. Eat that.
So after the dramatic lunch, I think I'm now going to write a letter to my good friend Sarah Grimke to thank her for writing the letters on the equality of sexes and the condition of women. She defended the rights of women to speak in public defense of a moral cause.
That's it for my morning routine video, and I hope that gave you some insight on what my life is like in New York and what my mornings are like. Now back to you.
The Congress holds a meeting at the White House tonight. Not a woman to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like there are no queens. The reform is starting like a swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows we tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Women have no place in democracy. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. monarchy never bothered us anyway.
Yes it did.
That's all for our show today. Thank you for watching.
I hope you guys learned a lot about the women's rights reform from the 1840s to the 1850s.
Bye, guys.